Thank you all for coming today and offering me the opportunity to give you an update for those that were involved and came to the first presentation, which was nearly 3 years ago. And also to give those that haven't been exposed to our company an option to understand who we are and what we're doing in the cannabis industry. I am the CEO and co-founder, together with Volker Bederik, who's living near the Mediterranean. And I'm joined today with Adrian Biachowski. He's a new hire from, just joined us. His specialty is in basically within the pharmaceutical business and a lot of focus on the retails. We like to consider him somewhat our new deal maker, the person that can bring a lot of operational expertise, and we're very happy for him to join us. And so he started in May of this year. Sedermeradagen, we're listed on the Spotlight Exchange. Our ticker is ODI. We are a Swedish mother company, ODI Pharma AB. We also have a daughter company in Switzerland, which we think is an interesting market for us for the future. And our main project, Poland, which we IPO'd on, is run through ODI Pharma Polska. So we have 3 levels of our company. Just to give, I constantly get questions of what is ODI Pharma? Where do we stand? What's our business model? How do we fit into the bigger picture of the cannabis industry, and where do we see it going? Now, what I've done here is I've highlighted in blue our role in the industry. This is a very basic slide which shows you that from the seed to where the patient gets the product, where do we fit? What are we doing? What's our speciality? How can we justify why is this our value, our part of the value chain? The first part of the industry, which was the hot topic when things were IPOing and the cannabis industry was really new and exciting, there was a race to grow. So people invested billions of dollars in building big facilities. They had to go get the expertise of getting the licenses. They had to go get the expertise of what's the proper means of growing. How do you control the microbes? How do you control the different contaminants in the products? And we had, at the time in 2016-17, when we were forming the foundation for the company, we traveled to Canada, and we went and had on-site education for the entire industry. We saw the biggest facilities. Some of these facilities are 6 to 10 football fields large. They're just enormous facilities. They're all indoor. They're very complicated. And every single step of this is a very, very sophisticated means to get medical cannabis produced. It's not the stereotypical that when you look at the cannabis plants of recreational cannabis, where does it come from? You just grow it in your garden. It's a very precise medical business. And we respected that. And we also realized that it requires economies of scale. It requires billions of dollars investment to be big. And we then focused on the industry. What happens from growing and cultivating to the patient gets it? And we identified that in 2016-17, it started to legalize in Europe. Germany was the first to lead the way. And then after that, it started moving into Poland, which was soon thereafter. And we saw a lot of companies were focusing their energy on the German market, and we focused our energy on the Polish market. So where do we stand? Basically, what we look at ourselves as somewhat of a Starbucks type concept. Starbucks will buy coffee from everyone. We basically are the one that we selected around. We chose the best partners that have the best reliability, have the best infrastructure. And then once we buy the raw product, we take over from there. So basically, after the cultivation is done, which is a very sophisticated process, we take over everything else until the patient gets the project. So we are a B2B business. We're not dealing with any individuals. We're not helping in the prescription of anything. So I broke apart the business in 2 different levels. The B2B is where we pick the product, take the raw product to the manufacturing, which has to be done in a GDP or GMP format. We then make sure that the product is packaged correctly. We then issue the transport licenses and has to be under a certain controlled temperature. And we are then taking the product to country where we have a medical wholesale distribution warehouse. We are basically then selling to the wholesale medical distribution. So this is the core of our business. But the important part is that we have the end user, where the doctor needs to prescribe a product. So we have developed a website where educational information for doctors, which we're going to launch when our product finally comes to country, which is very soon. And we also are talking with the pharmacies to make sure that they order the product from the pharmacy. And then I stopped it at the patient, but that's not actually true, because the marketing authorization, which is what we received this year, our permission, which took a lot longer than we expected. It was painful. That means that we are responsible for anything that happens with the product. If the product comes across and it's not the correct THC or CBD consistency, that we have to recall the product. If the patient has a negative reaction, we are the responsible party, and that is our role in basically in the Polish market, is that anything that happens with our product, we have a full circle responsibility, and we have all of those infrastructures and insurances taken care of. So that is where we sit in the business model. So we are not in the high cost, the expensive facility and growing. We're in the branding, product awareness, and I'd say we're not rushed to produce, we're rushed to sales. We're focused on the sales side of the business. This is a slide which I didn't want to put it in. I just look at it as something every industry has to show you how big the industry is. We know the potential of the market. The potential is enormous. It's taking time. It's slow. The stigma is going away. Germany's doing a lot of help for that because they're going potentially to legalize recreational, which is good for the industry and its similarities, but there is no similarity between medicinal cannabis and recreational. The whole structure is completely different. And when we have the number here, 2 billion euros by 2028, we believe that this is an accurate number. This is actually not our quote. I just forgot to put the header, the footnote on there. It comes from a Polish research site. But we agree with 2 billion, and if you just look at it in a simplistic way, we think there's 300,000 patients. Average patient gets 1 gram per day. With the current market prices, that's 1.7 billion in sales by 2028. It's a relatively clean, but we think that this is just a fraction of where the market is going to. We think it's going to be much larger. We did a road trip to Poland since we got our certificate to start our business operationally. We did a road trip to just check the supply and the demand. We met all of the major participants in the industry in Poland, and we were pleasantly surprised and not surprised at the same time. Poland has been a very, very challenging market to get into. Whether we were working with the Canadian producer, the Polish government, or the rules were that they needed European testing, they wouldn't accept testing. It was like putting a round ball into a triangle peg. It took a lot of work to accommodate it, and we finally were successful. But that being the case, there's not enough product in the country, and we do not see this changing for the foreseeable future, for 3 years, 4 years. There's some attempts at potentially Poland growing product now, and these facilities are very small, and they're just more for testing purposes and to get all the appropriate licenses and to get the stability data. We have 3 to 4 years minimum with a very tight supply market. At the same time, the doctors are prescribing it at a much higher rate. They're very, very happy about the medication as a solution versus the opioids or other medications. And so the reality is that there's a massive shortage in the country. We have this from multiple different areas, and anything we get into the country, we're going to be able to sell and quickly. And we're excited about that as we're just working through the last logistics of the import license, which I'll explain in a bit. And then we're ready to go. So the one benefit of this shortage is for our investors, that means the pricing, at least in the near term, looks extremely exciting, which I'll go through in a little bit. This, to me, I think is the most important point that I'd like to bring across on today's presentation. Not the first point, the last point. In Poland, there's approximately 13,000 pharmacies. Our relationship with our wholesale distribution and logistics company, we can access 98% of these pharmacies from the storage warehouse to the door of the pharmacy so the patient can get their products within 2 hours. So we have a 98% saturation rate into the pharmacies in Poland and almost immediate. As I said before, we think there's 300,000 patients by 2028. It's a simple concept for us. We just looked at, before the recreational in Canada, what percentage of the population was actually being prescribed medical cannabis. And the simple number is 1% of the population is going to be a potential benefactor of using medical cannabis over any period of the year. So the population in Poland is 338 million, plus or minus 2 with the geopolitical. So we're quite confident that this number is conservative. Our target on our press release, which we came out before when we signed the new supply agreement, is that we're looking for starters for 100 kilos a month. And just to give people a little bit of an idea what this means, 100 people per month, 1 gram per day, means that we're helping 3,300 patients. We think there's going to be 300,000 patients. That means that 100 kilos a month basically will represent 1% of what we think the market will be. And that's our target. 15 kilos per month at the current rates is where we become profitable. So it's quite an interesting option. We know that the prices are not going to stay here. We know that the margins are going to come down. We know we have a lot of work to do to make sure that we are the first and the best to get this product into the country and that we follow all of the rules. But the reality is, 15% of our targeted product turns us to a profitable company. And we think that that's 1% of where we're going to be in 10 years or 5 years. Once again, I'm repeating that we received the marketing authorization in early January, late January, beginning of Feb. And in a standard business, once you have your marketing operation, it's very, very simple to just submit for the import permit, and then you get your product. It's received after 30 days, and then after 30 days, you have to get your export permit from the European country where it's coming from. And that has become a little bit more challenging as everything that we've gone through in the cannabis industry. It's new regulations, new rules, new quotas, and it's something that we see as it as a formality, and we're working on it with special interest groups. We're expecting this to be sorted in, any day now. And so I'm quite excited that when this is done, we begin our operations in Poland. And this gives us a lot of time for the future of our business and what plans that we've planned over the last 2 to 3 years. Cosmetics, I'm not going to come in here and say, this is fantastic. It's been a challenge. We've learned that the cosmetics industry is very, very competitive, very difficult. Our goal and the reason we started cosmetics is because we saw it as even a perfect match for the growth of our business after Project Poland. We started our job working together we wanted to sell our cosmetics through pharmacy. So we signed deals with all of the pharmaceutical wholesale distributors in Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Poland, which we already had. But we then got our products listed. We went through the whole foundation of what we have to do for our medical process when we get there, and so we saw it as a very nice liaison. Getting the product into the pharmacy wasn't enough. Getting the pharmacy to go and physically one-on-one and sell the product to build your brand has been a challenge. And that is something that we're working on. We've cut almost all costs in the cosmetics. We haven't lost faith. Our product is the best. I mean, for us at least. We put it through a 40-person study for 3 weeks, and the main 13 questions that we had for our product, we received 40 out of 40 above expectations. The product is very successful, and I have some samples for those of you that want to try it when they'll be on the table after the presentation. So our target now is high-end spas and treatments, and we're going to build the brand over time. The cost structure is very low. We have no variable costs that are coming in the way, and just coming up with ideas all the time. Just for example, yesterday, we just signed up as the first cosmetic line to work with Volt, the food delivery company in Sweden. And so the terms of it are not like the expensive marketing, and we're not going to throw money at expensive marketing. And we're really excited to see what happens with Volt. So basically, from next week, I think, or within the next 2 weeks, anyone that wants our cosmetic product can go into Volt, get really good discounted prices, and they can have it at their doorstep in 30 minutes to an hour, versus having to wait through the whole logistics chain of DHL in Germany and going to pick it up in the Ombud and everything. You get it delivered to your door. We think it's ingenious. I think Volt is a fantastic company, great business model, and I wish them the best for the future, and I'm happy that they're working together with us. Business development, which is always something interesting, and if you notice on my slide, it's not like a lot of the other slides. It's just I'm talking big picture here. We're not on a capital raise period right now. This is just to inform you to take a look and potentially invest in ODI. Our business goal: we have our first product approved for the market. That's not enough. The product we have an exclusive for the country of Poland. It's the most popular product that's in Germany right now. We have a need, and we have a 20% THC, less than 1% CBD. Our products, we need to have a sativa and an indica. We need to have high THC, high CBD. We need to have a mid-range product, and we need to have the extracts. These are on the way. These are things we're working on, and it'll be there. And this is very important for us to make sure that we have the proper medicine for all the patients. Expansion. This is the exciting thing, and this is one of the reasons that Adrian was brought onto our company, and for the last 3 boxes, is that all of the work we've done, we have now identified, I think, every major roadblock to get this product done. I mean, to get this business model up and running. We've succeeded, we've fought, we had a lot of difficulties. And we now think that we have a plug-and-play model that works in a lot of markets. And we are ready to go. So I think expansion is something that is coming in the near future. We're in discussions with a lot of players. I can't really discuss anything because we don't have any signed contracts, but we are expanding, and we're going to expand soon. Ancillary products. This is what this means to us is that we're not just a medical cannabis company. Our goal is to be a multi-integrated, diversified cannabis company. We think that the cannabis plant is something that is just on the verge of being understood. If you take, for example, that cannabis fiber is longer and stronger than cotton. It also has antibacterial effects. Cannabis can be used to, instead of rebar, to reinforce cement. And it's also insulation. So you can actually use the hemp product to put it into the cement walls, and it reinforces it, and it makes it insulated. So there's a lot of interesting products, and that's part of his team. Adrian's going to come in. His goal is to hire more people, but we have to make sure that we're always watching the costs because we don't want to spend money on unnecessary costs. As we were very responsible with the cosmetics, focusing it to a better business model, we're going to follow that, and we're hoping that it could be as simple as reusable grocery bags made from hemp versus plastic. It could be something socks, which are antibacterial, selling somewhere. There's a lot of ideas, and these are just some of them. And they're materialized, they're in our head, and it's just now a matter of putting them to work. And the reason all of this is possible is because we IPO'd on Poland. We did not do more expansion because we made a promise for Poland. We didn't take salaries out of the company for 3 years. It's been expensive. We believe in it. We know we're there. And now it's time to grow. And so these products are going to happen, and they're going to come out quickly, and this is what we're doing. Why invest in ODI? Well, I like to, I spent 25 years basically in finance. I was on the floor of the exchange starting. I then went to Swedish banks for 10 years. I was at SEB, Nordea. And then I went to the buy side where I became in the hedge funds, and I was a portfolio manager specializing in equities for 12 years. And I had a certain strategy when I was looking. If a company is in an industry, a mature industry, what do you want? You want to have a vertically integrated company. You want to have a company that grows the product and sells the product to the end user, a full use of the supply chain all the way through. That's just to maximize the profits of the company. When I was in a high growth industry, I always looked for specialists. People that had a specific and they had a reason for being in that part of the value chain, and they maximize it to the best of their ability. Because eventually, as the industry materializes, there's going to be mergers, there's going to be acquisitions, and things are going to come together. But for right now, we focus on what we know best. We focus on being profitable, keep the costs low, and I think our business plan has been correct. We didn't want to go and get the high friction costs of the cultivation. And I think that I respect and admire the companies that are going that route. And it's a small investment community. It's a small group of people. We all have to work together. We're going to be together. But I'm really happy that we chose the business path that we had. And I think our investors are going to be happy very soon as well. And so that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please take a seat.
Yeah.
Short.
Hello.
Unfortunately, time flies, so I think we only have time for one question.
Oh,
but
perfect.
What I would be interested in is your view of the market, because it's a huge growth. How do you see the market changing, and what's the current trends in the market, do you think?
Okay. It's quite clear that the projections that I gave, the size of the market, it's accurate. It's quite clear that there is a lot of, I mean, the industry, if you just look at the stock prices of the index, I mean, the industry's been under pressure. And you can put the blame on whatever you want. You could say the blame is that the regulations aren't passing fast enough. Everyone thought that when Biden came to be president of the United States, he's going to legalize cannabis, but they didn't look at the facts that, okay, half the people in prisons in the United States are in because of cannabis, or I don't know if half, it's a very high number. What do they do with those people if then they go legalize it? And so it's a very complicated situation. I think that the most exciting would be to get the Safe Banking Act, which allows bigger money to come in, easier access to money. Europe, it's much easier, but for Western companies, it's very difficult and it's very challenging. There is no question for me that on the cultivation side, economies of scale is key. As I mentioned, I mean, the partners that we work with, I mean, literally 6 football fields. They have, everything automated, conveyor belts. It's a beautiful thing to see. And I think that is, for us, that's going to be the key. And the prices are going to come down on the product, no matter what. It's a commodity as expertise comes. People are going to become more efficient at growing, and the price is going to continue to come down, and it's necessary. I'm looking at the prices that the patients are going to pay in Poland. It's a significant amount of the GDP per person. So prices have to come down. We want them to come down. We are going to be striving to be the best quality, the best prices in the market. And we can't control the end price from the wholesale distributor, but we can control getting the price down. And so I know that this doesn't answer your question verbatim because you ask, what do I see for the market? What I see for the market is the numbers I put up there I believe in. It's huge. And it's growing every day. And companies have put themselves in some difficult situations, but that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the industry. And I'm happy with the way that it looks for ODI Pharma going forward here.
All right. Thank you very much. As I said, time flies by, and I think we actually need to go to the next one.
We do.
Okay. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.